Hello, hello. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another JMMB Group Limited Investor Briefing. We are very happy to be bringing it to you today. Now, it's coincidental that we're doing this live on Valentine's Day. It just so happens that this is the day that we had to do it. It's a Monday. We released our results on Friday, I believe it was. So hey, but we are the financial institution that's founded on a core of love. So I think it all works out. Everything happens for a purpose, and we're happy to be with you here this afternoon. If you're watching it live, of course, this session is being recorded, so if you're not joining us live and you're joining us on the replay, welcome just the same. I am Carrie Ann Stimson, and I'm the Group Chief Marketing Officer at JMMB, and I'm here live with Patrick Ellis, our Group CFO. You're going to be hearing from him in just a minute, and we have our colleagues online, and of course, we welcome everyone who is joining us live on this call. We have some members of the media, both in Jamaica and across the region, and we also have some broker analysts, members of the broker community, again, across the region and here in Jamaica where we're headquartered. So happy to have everybody here. We're going to go through very steadily and quickly as we can. First of all, thank you for your patience. We had a few technical challenges here, some of which we're still working through, but the show must go on. So thank you for your patience. But we're going to go through our main program, which is essentially just about 2 or 3 presentations of varying lengths, and then we're going to open up the floor to Q&A. As always, we invite your questions. Please put your questions in the Q&A section, as it were, of the Zoom platform. You should see the icon down at the bottom. Don't put it in the regular chat. Put it in the Q&A. That way we'll have a better opportunity to manage and monitor the questions and indicate which ones we're able to answer. And we'll try and get to as many of them as possible until time creeps up on us. So, without further ado, I'd like to invite our very first presenter who will be sharing with us the first set of remarks for today's briefing. He is none other than our beloved Group CEO, Keith Duncan, and we're going to invite him to come up now. He's joining us remotely as well, as is most of all of us here. Sir Keith, welcome.
Thank you, Carrie Ann. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to analysts, the media across the region. Thank you very much for joining us today. You know, we're happy to be here to really keep everyone informed around where the JMMB group is in relationship to our overall strategy, giving you guys a sense of where we are in terms of performance, giving you a sense of where we think, where we believe the globally and regionally and locally where things are going and how does that impact overall performance going forward. But, you know, we have over the last 2 years, to begin with, just setting some context. Over the last 2 years, the world has faced this pandemic, which has really disrupted life as we know it, disrupted economic activities, disrupted people's lifestyles and living the way they know. No, it's been tough, and it's been tough on businesses, it's been tough on individuals, it's been tough on families, it's just been tough generally. However, during this period, you know, the JMMB group was able to really look to see how we could really continue to drive performance in a period of relative uncertainty and when there was no growth in the economy or low growth in the economy than globally, and businesses were under pressure, the banks were under pressure, and the JMMB, we pivoted and we were able to find our way. Now, that way was driven by the fact that we are diversified across the region in being in 3 markets, DR, Trinidad, and Jamaica, and that we're diversified across business lines, and that we have made some very strategic investments in terms of Sagicor. So when you look at the overall atmosphere over the last 2 years, where JMMB was able to continue on with a significant rate of growth and profitability and earnings per share, this was driven by our diversification strategy. let me point exactly. No, on the investments business line, what you had was a very accommodative environment as most central banks look to lower interest rates and to put in a very accommodative monetary policy. This allowed, when interest rates are going down, it allows for a very favorable environment for trading portfolios and making gains on securities traded, and and driving income. And JMMB is a trading company. We were built as a trading company, so we were able to leverage that and perform very well across our investment business line. On the banking business line, despite most banks across the region being under pressure in relationship to the slowdown in the economy and how that impacted business activities, JMMB was able to stay very close with our clients across the group. And we're in economies like Jamaica and DR, which look to open up their economies a lot faster than, say, Trinidad, we are able to grow our banking business line with very low non-performing ratios because we stayed very close with our clients. So in spite of the challenges to the banking sector, and we were able to, and to really the economies, and it is the private sector that drive the economies, we were able to still grow and grow significantly above market in both investment and banking business line. Trinidad was their stance on COVID was a little bit more defensive, and therefore we're more able to remain and maintain market share. But in Jamaica and DR, we did extremely well in terms of taking market share, and therefore this is what drives our performance: diversification at the regional level and diversification at the business line level, and the strategic investments we make, example in Sagicor, and our continued M&A opportunities. Now, whilst doing so, we had to stay very close to our clients, and we invested heavily in the digital area because we had to make it convenient for our clients to be able to do business with JMMB in a COVID environment. And we welcome that because it really pushed us further along than we thought we would be in the digital space. So therefore, we have done extremely well, and we have a lot more down the pipeline, and we're going to speak to that a little later in the presentation when Mr. Jerome Smalling, our group head banking business line, will speak to this and all the surprises and the goodies we have lined up in the pipeline. So I would say, based on our investments over the period in our capacity for building out our efficiency across business lines, the digital investments we have made, we have been able to reap some rewards in terms of efficiency, and we have been able to grow, and therefore we have performed really well over the last 2 years, and especially over the last 9 months and the last quarter. JMMB Group has done very well. We're happy about this, to be able to deliver the growth in earnings per share, and growth in our business lines, share of market in terms of more clients, more assets under management, more loans. That's what we have been able to do as a group of companies. So I'll hand over to Carrie-Anne. Thank you very much again for listening in this afternoon, and I'll hand over to Carrie-Anne. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. I mean, just such a wonderful way to kick us off. I mean, of course, I had to allow Keith, the results would have come out on Friday, but I would have had to have allowed Keith to be the first person in this presentation to talk about the fact that the results were, in fact, wonderfully phenomenal, right? We're very, very happy about the period just ended, and we're so very, very happy about what it means. And I think the story that it tells, if I may just say that, I think it just speaks to not only the resilience of the JMMB Group to remain focused on our objectives, even in spite of everything that has been going on locally, again, in the region and across the world. But it's also a testament to our core values and our deep, deep desire to continue to partner with our clients in a very real way throughout the thick and the thin towards the achievement of their financial goals. And it's a really, really wonderful story to share, and we're happy to share that with you today. Now we're going to go into our second presentation, and of course, it's the numbers, right? So you know that's not me. The numbers is going to be the highlights, rather, of the financial performance for the period just ended is going to be shared with us by none other than our Group Chief Financial Officer, Group CFO, Mr. Patrick Ellis, who is here with me here in the studio. Patrick, over to you. We are looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
All right. Thank you, Kerry. Thanks again. Welcome, everyone, all of our stakeholders out there, team members, shareholders, analysts. I think our group CEO did an excellent job in setting the context in terms of the JMMB group's performance. I'll just dive right into it. We did publish our results. On the weekend, it was uploaded on the stock exchange website and is available for all stakeholders to see. I have good news, and I'll start in terms of our balance sheet, just following up on our group CEO in terms of where we are. And you look at our total assets for the JMMB group for the financial year ended 31st December 2021. We have total assets at that point in time of 609 billion, 19% growth in terms of our balance sheet, growth of 95 billion. Now it's very important just to understand where is the underlying growth coming from. This is coming from our core activities. A deliberate strategy on our part of growing the core underlying business lines within the group. Our loans and advances grew by 15%, 137 billion. At the end of December, 18.3 billion in growth, and that is coming directly from our business line, one of our core activities. Our investment portfolio, our financial services line, Keith mentioned earlier that trading has been a part of JMMB DNA from inception. Our investment portfolio comprising our investment securities, 23% growth, now had 327 billion, a 62 billion growth. And that was funded mainly by the deposits, customer deposits here showing 17% growth, $150 billion at December, and on our repo liabilities as well, 280 billion and 23% growth. So what it underscores for us is that as a group, we have targeted our core business line, core activity, and we are seeing the growth in our balance sheet in the areas that we want to grow. And that resulted in a direct spin-off in terms of our performance. Now, in terms of our funds under management, I just mentioned our on-balance sheet growth. Our funds under management would represent not only our on-balance sheet, but off-balance sheet as well. Our collective investment schemes, where we'll have our funds, talking about our mutual funds, our schemes. We saw off-balance sheet growth for the JMMB group of from 137 million to 183 billion, $46 billion in growth in our off-balance sheet. And just underlining once again that a direct initiative on our part of growing our core activities. Now, our financial performance, and I'm pleased to report to our stakeholders that at the end of our Q3, JMMB reported net earnings of 8.82 billion, 119% growth in terms of our net earnings, 4.8 billion to be exact. This is in fact our largest earnings for our Q3 results. Our Q3 results also would have surpassed our previous year annual results of 7.7 billion. So it is an historic number for us. But our performance, what I want to draw our stakeholders closer to, is embedded in terms of those core activities. You'd have seen our operating profits showing 7.98 billion, 55% growth, and that reflects your net interest income, your gains on securities trading, your FX business lines, our capital market business lines, in our money transfer in terms of our Cambia operations. Most of the growth that you would have seen on our income statement is embodied within our core activities. So between our net interest income comprising from our loans and our investment portfolio and our gains on securities trading, that would comprise 73% of our revenue of that 21.98 billion, which showed 33% growth. So overall, underlining that in terms of embodied in JMMB's performance is growth from our core activities and our business lines. On the expense side, you would have seen a jump in our expenses. Embodied in our numbers is the fact of us growth, regionally diversification and growth in all three markets. So you'd have seen a jump in our expenses from 10.66 billion to 13.24 billion, an increase of 2.6. And that growth is representative of the various initiatives that we would have undertook as a group. We had our bank standardization where we would have standardized across our banking platform across all three territories. One reporting channel, we implemented a Oracle reporting framework where we're one reporting channel across all three jurisdictions. Our digital initiatives in terms of our client onboarding and facilitating easy client access and also facilitating our service. And embodied in that as well would be some level of inflationary increases on our expenses. Nonetheless, I'm pleased to report, despite the increase in our expenses, you would have seen our efficiency ratio. Now, our efficiency ratio is a function of your revenue and your expenses. And you would have seen that ratio falling from 64% to 60%. And what that means is that your revenue, which grew by 33%, is growing much faster than your expenses. So your revenue is outpacing your expenses, hence an improved efficiency ratio of approximately 4%. Now, our capital, important, embodied in JMMB's performance is our capital. Now, JMMB capital of the end of December stood at $65.7 billion. And as a highly regulated entity, it's important that there are certain regulatory ratios or capital adequacy ratios that we have to adhere to from all our regulators. And I'm pleased to report that all entities within the JMMB group would have exceeded the regulatory ratios prescribed by the various regulators, whether it's the central bank, the Financial Services Commission, the SIV in the Dominican Republic, or the Central Bank in Trinidad and Tobago. JMMB, based on its strong capital base, would have exceeded all the required ratios. Our capital would have grown over the period by approximately 4.4 billion, and the result of that increase mainly was driven by our improved profitability performance. We would have seen some fall off in terms of our market gains on our investment based on increased interest rates, but our overall capital number was still very positive and also continue on a positive trajectory, which sets us very nicely for the future in terms of completing our strategic initiatives. Our CEO mentioned earlier in terms of our strategy was embodied on a regional diversification strategy across the territory, where Jamaica being our flagship, the Dominican Republic, Trinidad and Tobago, and he also spoke of an important investment in Sagicor Financial Company Limited. And just to emphasize in terms of the success of that strategy, we would have seen our profit allocation across the territories, with Jamaica accounting for approximately 40% of net earnings, Dominican Republic accounting for 24%, 2 billion. Sagicor investment, where we extend 150 million US as part of that investment, continues to show very good performance of 29%, or over $2 billion in terms of our net earnings. So that would be DR contributing 29%, sorry, and Sagicor 24%. So overall, what you're seeing from a JMMB group, from a net earnings per country, is that our earnings is diversified across all territories. From a revenue standpoint, Jamaica, as I said, has always been our flagship, where we started out our investment arm. We now have the bank in Jamaica, fully diversified suites of products within Jamaica, contributing 65% or 14 billion. In the Trinidad and the Dominican, Trinidad, for example, contributing 15% or 3 billion, and the Dominican Republic 20% or 4.5 billion. Diversified revenue stream arising from our core activities, our investment, banking, and our off-balance sheet products. Just to give an update to our shareholders in terms of our Sagicor SFC investments, we would have extended 150 million in that initial outlay for the 22%. We're now currently at 22.73%. That investment now stands at 42.8 billion. We have reflected $2.1 billion year to date. That is from April to September. We have not yet reflected any earnings for the quarter, October to December. December is SFC's financial year end, and as we would have indicated in our quarterly release, as part of their audit process, the numbers would not yet be available. But once it is finalized and the audit results is published, we will incorporate that as part of our Q4 and our annual audited results. Based on the initial numbers and year to date, we expect to continue on a positive trajectory, and we expect this investment to continue to yield positive results for us. Just to further highlight in terms of our business and our business line and our diversification strategy, just to show a different view in terms of our diversification through our business lines, we continue to see excellent growth in terms of our banking business line, 24% growth. In terms of revenue year over year, $8.1 billion at the end of December, $1.5 billion growth. And on our financial services, $13.7 billion, or 40% growth of $3.9 billion. Our group CEO mentioned earlier in terms of the opportunities that existed in the market stemming from a low interest rate environment and the central bank, we are a central bank, facilitating market uptick, and JMMB Group would have benefited from that. So that, in a nutshell, fellow stakeholders, would be the highlights from our results, excellent results. JMMB continue on a strong financial performance, very good net earnings, great core earnings, and continue to execution of our strategy. And I look forward to, for the group, in terms of continuing on that positive trajectory for Q4. And with that, I'll hand over to Kerry to take us through.
Thank you, Patrick. It's always great to share very good news, awesome news, as I like to say. Thank you so much for sharing those highlights with us. And again, as a team, we're very, very grateful for all of what we've been able to accomplish for the financial year so far. And of course, we know we can't do what we do without our clients, without our shareholders, and indeed without the wider communities in which we operate. We thank you so much, everybody, for your continued support, and we're grateful for the trust and the confidence that you've invested in us, literally and not so literally. But we're very happy for what we've seen, and we look forward to finishing out the financial year, which Q4 is already well underway. So we are confident that we will continue to do what we need to do our best. Obviously, Patrick, I know you'll always say anything can happen. You know, we like to say we live in a dynamic environment, a dynamic world. COVID is still very much with us, but given the solid foundation, the strategies that we have in place, and the growth that we've already come to see and experience, we are very looking forward with positive expectancy, right? Yes. Wonderful. Thank you so much. So I'm going to hand over now to someone who is going to wrap up this portion of the briefing, and I'm going to be handing over to Jerome Smalling, who is also joining us remotely. I can't keep up with Jerome because I know he's spending more time in Trinidad, certainly for the last several months, but sometimes he's here, so I'm not quite sure if he's back in Trinidad yet. I'm sure he'll tell us. But Jerome, as not only CEO of JMMB Bank, he's also the head of our banking group or segment of banking within the financial group here, JMMB. And he has a couple of exciting announcements to share with us. Some of us know at least one of those already, but it's all good. We still want to share it officially from this platform. So I'm going to hand over to Jerome, who will take it away and share a couple of exciting pieces of news with us. Hi, Jerome. Where are you? Are you in Trinidad?
Good afternoon, stakeholders. So, as you would have been aware, the group has placed strategic emphasis on growing the banking business line. We continue to see our banks in Jamaica and the DR taking market share and growing faster than their respective markets. Consistently over the past 3 years, we've been able to focus on projects and initiatives to improve client experience and to make the business line more efficient. As you know, we're going through COVID period, and we've been able to partner successfully with our clients, those who would not have been affected by COVID, as well as those who would have seen some downturn in business or some impact on their inflows, to the extent that we have not seen any significant impact to our non-performing ratios. We have two exciting wins that we want to highlight in terms of achievements that we have experienced over the past 9-month period. We introduced our smart ATMs. The quarter saw the completion of the upgrades of all ATMs, the smart ATMs in Jamaica, and the commencement of upgrades in Trinidad and Tobago. We are anxiously awaiting here in Trinidad our group head of digital strategy, who will be coming down on Wednesday to oversee the rollout of the digital ATMs in the smart ATMs in Trinidad. These upgrades give our client greater experience with our tap feature and real-time cash deposits, among other features that are coming with our smart ATMs. We continue to be a low or no fee operator with no charges at our ATM, and we have decided to absorb the cost associated with that. The other exciting feature would be the standardization of our core banking system. Last year, we brought on Trinidad and Tobago onto the group's core system, and that includes the standardization of policies and products and protocols. We have now brought on the Dominican Republic Bank onto the same platform. This is a significant milestone in the group's standardization program, with all 3 operating territories on the same platform, which creates efficiencies in processing reporting as well as enhanced solution. It also gives the group the opportunity to better manage our banking portfolio across the 3 regions. Going forward, we'll be focused around creating new digital experiences and launching payment products. We created a new digital experience through online onboarding, and we're advanced in the project. We're in the final stages of regulatory approval. Once we're in receipt of approval, we should have a clearer timeline for launch. We're pretty excited about this. We're also focusing on our mobile app. We're well advanced with this product as well. We're in the final stages of regulatory approvals, which include our digital wallet, which will help to facilitate our participation in the central bank digital currency. We are in the process as well of developing and progressing along with several very exciting digital solutions that we know will bring the best value to our markets across the region. We have launched a new payment solution, a payment strategy. So we have strategically aligned our client needs and our competencies across the group in the creation of this division. So we've established a new division to facilitate clients and to facilitate the ease of moving money across the different channels. Already we are seeing the benefit of this cross-business line approach to the development of solutions that meet our client needs for a variety of financial products and options. We have solutions slated for agile development, commencing Q4, which will bring new solutions to our banking clients as well as underbanked clients, putting our financial inclusion strategy in action. As you know, our group CEO would have spoken on several times at previous briefings on our strategy around financial inclusion. One exciting occurrence which we want to announce today is our strategic partnership with the Norbrook Transaction Services Limited, operators of the ePay solution. We're actually launching today, February 14th, which includes our meal cards, our transportation cards, and our prepaid cards. It includes e-wallets and single-use special type cards which are used at the airport. We're pretty excited about this as Norbrook Transaction Services Limited is a fintech company. They specialize in creating online and digital type solutions for payments. We intend going forward to partner with Norbrook Transaction Services to bring a range of products and solutions to the market. In fact, we're working on a couple of very exciting solutions that I know are slated to be game changers. As it relates to across the group, at our last briefing, we would have indicated that we were undergoing leadership changes in some of our jurisdictions, specifically Trinidad and Tobago. I'm pleased to announce that we have landed on a new CEO for JMMB Bank, Trinidad and Tobago Limited. His name is Mr. Sean Moses. We were able to successfully lure Sean away from a competitor, which is RBL. Sean would have had experience as well with Scotiabank. He comes to us from leading the RBL acquisition of Scotiabank in the Eastern Caribbean. We're pretty excited about Sean coming on board to join a number of other key individuals that we would have discussed in our last briefing, namely Jason Baptiste, who heads up our client partnership across the three companies that we operate in Trinidad. With that, I'll hand over to Kerry. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jerome. News, good news, great news, awesome news. Thank you so much. It's great to hear about all of the exciting things that had not only occurred in the past period, but even things happening right now. It's wonderful to be able to learn of all of that. And of course, Jerome, thank you so much again for continuing to hold down the fort, as it were, in Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, we're very happy to welcome Sean on board to become a part of the JMMB family. Now, we're going into one final little presentation, again, just to round out our presentation fulsomely before we go into Q&A. And so, folks, again, we remind you, we invite your questions. We're going to try and answer as many of them as we can in the limited time that we have. If you have any questions and have not already submitted them, please do so in the Q&A section of the Zoom platform. If you look down the bottom, you'll see Q&A. Please don't put them in the chat. It helps us to monitor things a little bit better when it's in the actual Q&A portion. So thank you very much. So before we get into the Q&A segment, I'll move into our final presentation, we're going to invite our group CEO, Keith Duncan, to come back to us and to wrap up the final bits of information that we'd be happy to share with you today. Sir Keith, back over to you.
Carrie Ann, thank you very much. And, I was there. I really feel good about the JMMB group performance over the last 2 years in a very tough environment. Our teams across the region, our teams in our group office, our front line and our middle office and our back office and our digital solutions, and everyone, our financial accounting team, everyone has put in so much work in a very difficult environment, with all the challenges of working from home, and to really ensure that JMMB delivered in this period. Who would have thought? I mean, when we went into this COVID crisis, who would have thought that JMMB would have produced the two best results, for the last financial year, fabulous results, excellent results last year, and now the 9-month performance outpacing the full 12-month performance of last year. So, JMMB continues to grow, and it's because we have a committed team. We have a wonderful culture. We have everyone works as a team, and we support each other, and it really works for us, And on that note, as we go forward, I'm so confident. A while ago I wanted to clap Jerome and I wanted to clap Patrick, because these are two real leaders in our group that really provide guidance and leadership to our team. We have had two main acquisitions two huge acquisitions, and the first one was the Capital and Credit Financial Group, which has really worked out well for us. And then we had our Sagicor, and we have had other acquisitions along the way, and we do have more acquisitions in the pipeline as we continue to grow, and and diversify our revenue streams and our business lines and our regional diversification strategy that works so well for us. Now, what are we looking at going forward? What we see in the environment now is that inflation is now starting to really show up as a real threat globally. And we see it in Jamaica, and we see the central bank in Jamaica and in the DR, and to a limited extent in Trinidad, but Trinidad has begun to move in terms of their central bank kind of tighten up around monetary policy. And what we see is that there's tightening up of liquidity, and we see the DR and Jamaica central banks moving in terms of increasing interest rates. So that's a different type of environment from the one that we have faced in the last 2 years, and we have seen this movement in the last quarter, 3-4 months, in terms of central banks now adjusting their strategy. So that will have implications for, say, the investment business line. But in this scope, as we come towards, and fingers crossed, the end of COVID, and we see globally countries beginning to lift restrictions. We see it in Jamaica, we have seen it in Trinidad, and we have seen it in the Dominican Republic. So the economy is now beginning to open up. Now, what does that mean for us? That means more business for banking. That means a more favorable environment. It means a more favorable environment for our clients. So what this means is that we can continue to grow our business lines. To grow our business lines in terms of banking, in terms of funds under management for the investment business line. We can continue our core growth while we pursue our M&A strategies of looking to further add new entities onto our platforms, like our banking platforms, or on the investment side, add new solutions or new companies that we'll put on our investment platform as we diversify regionally. So therefore, the environment is a little bit different from the last 2 years, but of course, JMMB, we're agile, and we will adjust our strategies to go forward. So we will figure out how is it that you make money in this environment going forward, as we did when COVID hit, and we figured out how we pivoted so that we were able to deliver strong performance in a COVID period. So we're looking forward to strong performance and growth in our core business lines going forward over the next couple of years. Now, so we do expect that JMMB will continue to grow, and we are very comfortable with where we are. We have a great team in place. We have a great board of directors, and therefore we are optimistic about the future. Let me say, thank you very much.
Yes, sir, we are optimistic indeed. And yes, we've been off to a very strong start, and we'll just continue to do what we do, which is founded on a core of love. Again, today's Valentine's Day, but we are really passionate about partnering with our clients in helping them to achieve their financial goals and just delivering value each and every day. That's really what we are all about, and we're happy for the opportunity to continue to do that, COVID-19 or not. So looking forward to continuing to deliver on our mandate. So it's Q&A time. And we see the cues. We're going to give the A's, as many as we can, but we see the cues coming in to the Q&A window. Thank you very much. So we're going to try and get to as many as possible and make sure certainly we see some persons have more than one question. So we're going to try and certainly get to one question from each person and then double back as best as we can. All right, so let's jump right into it. So this first question, I believe, is best suited for Patrick, and it's coming from David Rose. Hi, David. Happy belated. Jamaica Money Market Brokers, the company, reported a $471 million increase in expenses, while JMMB Group reported an increase in expenses of $886.63 million. I noticed a note on operating efficiency about the increased expenses. What are the main long-term incentives which saw this increased spend? Thank you. Over to Patrick.
Yeah. Well, thanks, David. As part of our presentation, we mentioned a long-term initiatives by the group. We indicate about our bank standardization. We're standardizing. The increase would have driven by one. We would have been standardizing across all three platforms, all three countries in terms of one reporting banking platform, which is our Temenos T24. So we would have implemented our core banking platform in Trinidad and also in the Dominican Republic. We're actually doing parallel runs, and we would have gone live in DR as well. We would have mentioned our number of digital initiatives that we are looking in terms of improving our processes. We have also mentioned in terms of a one reporting framework within the group, which is our Oracle platform, which we are implementing throughout the group. So that would have contributed those long-term initiatives, which is going to benefit us long-term in terms of operating efficiency, would have benefited us, would have caused the initial increase. Coupled with that, as we said, we went into growth mode. So you would have had an inflationary increase in terms of toppled on top of that, which would have created the increase. In terms of JMMB, Jamaica Money Market Brokers Limited, which you would have seen that increase, a significant amount of that cost in terms of our group costs is embedded in Jamaica Money Market Brokers Limited. And Jamaica Money Market Brokers Limited would be the owner of a number of those software and initiatives. And what we do, we provide the support, like including myself, our group CEO, the team, the group support that we provide, and then we do that recovery by means of a management fee. So that is what would have accounted for that. The long-term initiatives that we're looking to do to improve operational efficiencies, and also in terms of the Jamaica Money Market Broker support for the entire group in terms of our structure, which is another part of how we operate from a centralized process.
All right, thank you very much, and thanks again for your question, David. I'm going to take a question now from Stephen Jackson. Hi, Stephen. Hope you're well. Stephen says, the results that we've shared, they have surpassed our 2-year target. So Stephen is asking, so what's the prospects for the full year in terms of profit? Stephen says, remember, you guys are not afraid of giving financial targets. So is this a question for Group CEO? Or Patrick? Patrick will take it.
Well, in terms of where we are, we are a public listed entity, and there are certain restrictions in terms of what we can disclose at this point in time. What we can say, however, is that we do intend to continue on focusing on growth. We do intend to continue focusing on our core business lines and yielding our efficiency and executing on our strategies. If we continue to do that, we do expect that our Q4 results would also be in a positive manner. But as to the numbers, that is not something we could share at this point in time. But what we will say to our stakeholders, the strategic initiatives that we have laid out, we will continue to focus on executing.
All right.
Maximizing that return for our shareholders.
I can add a context without giving away the shop, okay? I'm getting into any trouble. But I mean, 2 years ago at our annual general meeting, we had given some projections, and we had projected that we'd be somewhere in the region of $9 billion at the end of this financial year. What I can comfortably say is that we will definitely exceed that target.
Okay.
David, that is how much as we can give you, my friend.
All right. That was from Stephen Jackson, but still a valued member of Stephen, yeah, man, but still a valued member of the media. Thank you so much. All right. So here is another question, and this question is from Elizabeth. Elizabeth Turnbull. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for joining us. Elizabeth says in her question, JMMB Group rebalanced its investment portfolio in anticipation of an increase in interest rate. How did that exercise impact the group's performance? And I understand that our Group Chief Investment Officer, Damian Brown, is online and ready to take that question. Damian?
Good afternoon. With respect to our investment portfolio, we have displayed significant skills in terms of taking advantage of market opportunities, and the Group CEO spoke to the issue of a favorable market during last year, and we will continue to do so based on the market dynamics at a point in time. The important thing is that while we do create profits within a year, we do manage our business lines looking to the future.
Okay, thank you. Nice and concise. Thank you, Damian. Now, I'm going to jump to a question. I'm going to take a question from Al Edwards, but I see a couple of questions from Al. Hi, Al. Long time no see. Now, Al's first question was, what other Caribbean countries will JMMB be entering this year? And Al, because all of us don't want the need to have to send out a resume when this briefing is all over, I don't think we can answer that question. We really can't. So respectfully, we must decline answering that question. However, there is another question that I see here from you, a second question from you, where you asked, can you tell us a little bit more about the new cards that are being launched today? And I know Jerome kind of gave an overview. Jerome, are you able to give us any additional information about the cards being launched today?
Hi, Kerry. Thanks for that question. Today, we are actually launching the closed loop solution, which is primarily used for lunch cards and other staff benefits by a number of employers across Jamaica. That solution was also approved, well, certainly selected for a pilot by the Minister of Transport to provide cashless service to JUTC and the Jamaica Railway Corporation in the short term.
Right, thank you very much. And of course, we will be sharing more about that as things progress. And of course, if anybody wants to reach out to us directly with any additional questions afterwards, please feel free to do so. All right, another question here. We're going to go back and take another question from David Rose. David is asking specifically with respect to the buyback, the share buyback, which we would have given some more details on probably several weeks ago, late last year. Is there a target split between the Jamaica Stock Exchange and the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange for the allocation of the 300 million Jamaican dollars? I'm going to invite again our Chief Investment Officer, Damian Brown, still online, to take that question. Damian?
Thank you. There is no target split at this point in time, and we're going through the process with the relevant exchanges, and any further details regarding the share buyback will be noted at the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, now going back to a question from Elizabeth. It may be a question for Damian again, but I stand corrected so my team can support if it needs to be redirected. But Elizabeth is asking again, how do you see interest rates trending in the near future? And how do you plan to mitigate any impact on your investment portfolio? Damian, are you able to speak to that question?
Yes, I am. I think the general consensus by most economists and financial advisors and analysts is that interest rates will rise as a reflection of the increase in inflation rate that's been experienced both locally and internationally. In terms of the impact on that on our portfolio, clearly we position our portfolio to give us the most favorable outcome over time. And I'd emphasize that as the group CEO spoke, that we have a diversified business model across different business lines and different geographies, and that allows us to adjust around our exposures and capital as we think appropriate looking forward over the next few years.
All right. Thank you very, very much, Damian. All right. Now, I'm going to take a question here. Again, we have some new questions coming in, and I love to ensure that everyone gets even one question in. Rochelle, hi Rochelle, Muncie. Rochelle is saying regarding the increase in expenses that was mentioned earlier, she was indicating that we've been hearing about the bank standardization. I think this is a question that Jerome could speak to. We've been hearing about the bank standardization project for some years now. Can we get an idea as to when we believe this project will be completed, or certainly giving us an update on where we're at this time? I know we had alluded to some progress made earlier, so maybe we could reiterate and highlight that, Jerome, but any updates that you can share?
Thanks, Kerry. So just to give some context quickly is that when we're standardizing across 3 different jurisdictions with different regulatory framework, different laws, different protocols, sometimes it's not as quick as we would have anticipated. However, we were successful in launching Trinidad. Trinidad is currently in the performing stage. We would have stabilized and we would have now moved on to the performing stage. And we're now just wrapping up DR. We anticipate that the tweaking, as you may know as well, the DR is Spanish speaking. And so standardization also includes translation of language, ensuring that persons are able to toggle between, say, English and Spanish. And so we expect another 6 to 8 months for the DOMREP to move into the performing stage. But in terms of expenses, most would have expended most of what we intended to spend on these standardization projects.
Okay, thank you very much. And Jerome, please don't go too far. Clearly, there is quite a bit of excitement around the announcement with the ePay partnership with Norbook Transaction Services. Shamil Scott, hi Shamil, thanks for joining us. Guys, I have in a retainer and it's giving me a challenge with these pronunciations. So, Shamil is asking, Jerome, following the launch of ePay partnership today with Norbook Transaction Services, how soon can the previous users of the ePay card, who were of course affected by last year's temporary disruption, how soon can they expect to use the card? How many ePay users can we expect to serve? Is that information that we can readily give at this time? Jerome?
So, okay, thanks, Kerry, and thanks for the question. So we would have established a new partnership with the Norbrook Transaction Services, which means we'll be issuing brand new cards with our JMMB logo and reflecting our authorization that would have received from the central bank regarding the product. So what it means is that we will be rolling. So starting today, different companies will have access to their cards. Cards will be issued and new contracts will be established. And so we're anticipating an aggressive rollout over about a 4 to 6 week period. But look forward to being able to use your card for your lunch and your other benefits that you would have received from your employers.
Okay, thank you very much. That is indeed exciting news. Very, very exciting news, and I know a number of folks will be happy to hear about that. So let me jump back to a question. Another question from David Rose. So first of all, acknowledging a question, David said, question for Keith Duncan, that you spoke of 2 acquisitions. Is there any expectation that the transaction will be closed by the end of March? David, you know what we're going to say, right? We can't say. We can't say. All we say is stay tuned. Stay tuned. We will certainly say what we can say once we are able to say it. Thank you again. Now, let me just scroll down here quickly. Question for David, and I'm not sure who best to take this, but David is asking, since the Dominican Republic, JMMB DR, and the overall group with standardization and the sharing of the platform and all the benefits that that provides, David is asking, does this open up the opportunity for JMMB clients to access more products and products across the region? What are the prospects for that? David is asking who it would be the best person to answer that question. I'm thinking Jerome, perhaps.
I can take that one, Kerry.
Go ahead.
Thank you, David. That's a fantastic question, and the short answer is absolutely it can. JMMB's mantra that we take quite seriously is one group, one client, one experience. And a lot of what we do, including standardizing of our systems, is a means to an important end of being able to offer integrated solutions across business lines and also across geographies, so that all our clients can experience product sets across the group, across our business lines, in order to create solutions for them to achieve their goals. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And acknowledging, we've received a couple of questions here, one from David Rose and one from Josimar Scott about digital wallet. Just acknowledging that our group head of digital services, Gifford Rankin, is having some technical challenges accessing the platform, so he couldn't join us. So what we're going to do is we're going to get his responses in writing and respond to you as soon as possible after we're finished here. But he really was having internet challenges, couldn't log on. So we're on WhatsApp with him getting the responses, and we'll share with you directly once this is over, because we do have your contact information. Thank you so much for your patience. All right, I have a great question here from Al. And Al, I love this question. Al is asking, what accounts for a performance like JMMB that has bettered many of our local competitors here in Jamaica, is where he's referring you. What did JMMB do that our competitors did not? I love this question. Keith, how would you feel about answering that, or is that Claudine? I feel like so many people can jump right on that question right there.
For sure, Al. I mean, it's our culture definitely is one of the winners for us. We pull together as a team. We have a very flat structure. We're not hierarchical, and that is one of the areas that really work for us. Secondly, we are very agile in terms from a strategic perspective in terms of our approach. In other words, as the environment changes, we are able to adapt quickly to the changes in the environment and to develop strategies accordingly. And this is where Our group chief strategy officer, Claudine, has been able to lead that effort in terms of being able to the agility and the changing of our strategy, and then therefore we have developed our segment strategy and our client partnership strategy, which keeps us very, very close to our clients, and also ensuring that they are very much protected in this environment or in an environment that we face, and that we keep engaged. We have strategies that we use to really keep our clients engaged, informed, and best interest is one of the guiding principles that we use. Once it's in the best interest of the client, it will work for us. I learned that lesson from my mother. Do what is right by the client, and your returns, your profits will follow. Once you do right by the client, your customer, your profits will follow. And Claudine, I don't know if you have anything there.
Perfectly said, Keith. Perfectly said.
Right, yes, enough said. Excellent. And yes, we are passionate about serving our clients, and it's love that motivates us to serve them. And again, we remain grateful for the opportunity to continue to stand for our clients in their best interest. Thank you so much, Sir Keith. Thanks for your question, Al. Now, jumping back to David, David is asking, and this is a question, I guess, for Jerome. What is the main value to be obtained for JMMB from this partnership with Norbrook Transaction Services regarding ePay? Because I guess in David's perspective, he's saying that, we already have a Visa debit card. So what is the benefit to our organization to pursue this partnership? And is it, in fact, perhaps a push to branch out the JMMB brand as well? Could you give us some insights into that decision, Jerome?
Okay, so very, very interesting question. Remember, Norbrook Transaction Services is actually a fintech company. I think the most common product that we're aware of is the ePay solution, which is their closed loop solution, where they managed to deploy technology which resulted in their being able to actually issue cards and acquisition as well. They also operated in previous strategic alliances, I suspect. The prepaid cards run on a credit card platform, which facilitated financial inclusion. It allowed individuals to be able to access international payment solutions, as well as the online transaction services that they facilitated. So there are a number of products that are not as well known that would have occurred or operated in the background of the ePay platform. It's a very powerful platform. There are a number of products that we're awaiting approval on, and we will advise the market as soon as they're available. However, we intend to partner with this fintech company to bring exciting solutions to the Jamaican banking public.
All right, continuous exciting things to come. Jerome, don't go too far. Just taking here this last question here from David. David is saying that he'd have expected JMMB Bank to have benefited from prudent risk management during COVID-19 times. He's therefore asking, has there been an abnormal rise in write-offs for loans due to difficulty that perhaps some of our clients may still be experiencing? Could you give us some insights into that, please, Jerome?
Thanks again, Kerry. Thanks for the question. Probably need to have a drink of water. However, as it relates to the impact of COVID on our clients, our group CEO would have indicated that our strategy at the very early stage would have been to contact all our clients to put in place structures that would help them through the period. Not helping them with the vision necessarily of wrapping up or wrapping up business. We look at each client as a client that would want to continue to help to be successful, and so we offered relief for about 20% of our portfolio. We're now down to 5%. All the others would have gone back onto regular payments or regular arrangements through a number of products that would have offered. Some that would have been endorsed by the Bank of Jamaica, wherein we would restructure, we would stretch facilities to give more comfortable payments. But we've been working with our clients. And the short answer, though, is that our delinquency remains at a very manageable state, and it is significantly below the market average. So although we've grown at a faster pace, our delinquency, even through COVID, remains at a very low level, primarily because of our approach to partnering with our clients rather than seeking to necessarily dispose of assets or to get our good clients who are impacted by COVID to basically exit business, so to speak.
Just to support you on that particular point, Jerome, in terms of the portfolio, the bank's loan portfolio as at December, our non-performing ratio, JMMB Bank Jamaica, was 2.7%. So underlining the quality of our portfolio and the strategies that you just outlined.
All right. Thank you very much. And thanks again for your questions, David. Now, just down now to maybe one or two final questions. I'm just going through, making sure that we're covering. Again, acknowledging the questions that we would have received about the digital wallet and our online onboarding tools. Again, we're getting the responses to you, just liaising directly with Gifford Rankin, who is our group head of digital services. So please bear with us as we get you those responses directly after this session. Also, just to acknowledge any questions about expansion and acquisition and new places to go, guys, you know the deal. We really can't say, but we do thank you for your question. But as soon as we're in a position to share anything at all about our progress in that regard or in any regard where we're not able to speak to it beforehand, we will certainly share once we're able to do so. Now, there is a question here, and I think this is a great question for Patrick. Again from Al, thanks again Al. Good growth of 40% in your financial services business. What accounts for that growth and what will it look like for 2022? Al is asking, Patrick.
So I would say to Al, in terms of our financial services, that's more our investment business line, in addition to our off-balance sheet, our collective investment schemes that we manage. A significant part of that growth, Al, would have been on your gains and securities trading. We did like $7 billion in revenue on gains and securities trading. At the beginning of the presentation, our CEO had outlined the fact that where there were favorable interest rate, low interest rate environment, and we are very agile in how we operate and being able to take advantage and seek opportunities and make best of those opportunities. So our gains and securities trading line would have contributed significantly to that. In terms of our cap markets would have contributed in a positive manner, and also in terms of all our off-balance sheet products as well from our growth. It's underlying driven by growth and taking advantage in terms of our market opportunities from gains and securities trading. Going forward, and Keith did outline in terms of, we see where a number of countries are now recovering in terms of a COVID-19 gradual release on those restrictions. We also see where a possible increase in interest rates in terms of the macro outlook. So while you may not be able to generate that significant amount of revenue from your gains and securities trading line, what we seek to do is maintain that agile structure where we take advantage in terms of any opportunities as they arise. So as to the number, I don't know that I can give you a number, but what I will say is that we will structure ourselves accordingly, to maximize on any opportunity as they come.
All right. Thank you very much, Patrick. And so we're going to wrap up with one final question. Thank you so much, everyone. We always try to get to as many questions as we can, but we're going to wrap up with one final question here I see coming in from Al, and Al, of course, would have been referencing the recent conversations around fees. I know JMMB, we would have issued our position on fees and the fees we charge and the guiding principles that inform how we charge fees. And Al was asking, do we believe that other financial institutions should be following our lead on this matter? And to be very frank, Al, we love questions of all sorts. But just to say, Al, that as a financial institution ourselves, and I know we would have issued a statement as well officially clarifying our position. But at the end of the day, we respect every financial institution, every business, every organization to charge the fees that it chooses to charge. We have our own position. And as always, we believe that ultimately it's about having our clients' best interest at heart and recognizing that we do run a business at the same time. So we would have highlighted things like we don't offer nuisance fees. We charge fees for value-added customized services. There are instances where we do have to charge fees for cost recovery where there are fees charged by other financial institutions that we have no control over. And of course, we always wrap that by saying that there are times when we would fall short, perhaps, in our service delivery, and in those instances, we would even seek to waive fees or reimburse clients who would have been impacted. So at the end of the day, Al, everybody has to do what they have to do. This is who we are as an organization, the basis on which we are founded, on a core of love, having our clients' best interests at heart, having the best interests of everyone at heart. And so, again, we are just grateful for the opportunity to serve everyone who chooses to partner with us. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I think we've had a wonderful session here today. Again, a wonderful period of performance. Wrapped up Q3, we're already barreling down into Q4, head down, doing what we do best and doing what we love. And of course, we look forward to meeting you again when the financial year would have ended. Or I know it's kind of unusual because I know we have AGM coming up, so we'll probably work that a little bit differently, but not to worry. We'll be giving you the information that you need to be able to know what it is we're doing and what we've been up to, our wins, our plans, and things that we have been up to. So we're looking forward to continuing to remain engaged with you. Thank you again for everyone who would have asked questions. Again, we're going to reach out to you with the responses for those who we wouldn't have gotten the chance to answer in this session. And as always, we wish for you continued abundance. Happy New Year. This is the first time we would have been meeting like this in the new year. So thank you very much. Wishing you continued abundance in 2022. And thank you for your partnership and wishing you and yours all the best. Thank you. Take care.